Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. I'm again recording a little later than I normally do because last week we had someone fixing next door's roof. Oh, my hair. Sorry. And today they've been fixing potholes outside. So that was lovely and noisy. Anyway, today I want to talk to you mostly about the knit-alongs and make-alongs that I'm joining in with at the moment. Some of them are year long, because some of you might also be joining in, and some of you might be inspired to join in. Who knows? The first one I'm going to talk about is the one that I was going to talk about last, because I've just put it on a hanger and I've spotted a problem. This is my Painting Honeycomb sweater by Stephen West. I'll show you where I showed it to you last time. It's where that little mouse is hanging there. It's where I was last time. I've put all of this on there. Another 100 grams, I think. The problem I've noticed, having popped it onto this hanger, is, can you see the front there? It's got short row shaping at the back. So that should be the centre front. I've obviously done something wrong somewhere, but I don't know what, because I haven't moved my beginning of round is centre back, and I haven't moved my beginning of round marker at all. And I counted very carefully when I did both the short rows and the dividing for the sleeves. So I don't know exactly what's gone wrong. I'm going to try it on after I've finished talking to you. I'm going to try it on and see if it's going to hang oddly or whether it's just going to look like it's part of the design feature. Actually, I could do that now, couldn't I? Because I've put it on a great long, or as they say in these parts, girt long cable, so that I could show it to you and it wouldn't be all sprinkled up. Excuse me a moment. Oh. I don't know, I think that might be all right. Does it look odd though? I mean, it is a Stephen West, so could I get away with it by saying, oh, it's a Stephen West? Should anybody think it's a bit peculiar? I'm almost tempted to just put cap sleeves on it and wear it as, no. Might just put 3/4 length. Let me tip you down a bit. No, that's not working. Sorry. Hang on. I'm going to pause you so that I can move the camera a bit. Okay, there. You're unfortunate enough to be closer to me now. Sorry about that, but you can't actually see my face, so that's not too bad. Do you think I can get away with that? I think I probably can. I'm glad I tried it on because I was in a bit of a panic there. But otherwise, it's looking pretty good, isn't it? I'd hate to have to pull it down, but if I've got to, I've got to. Right, pausing you again because I need to take it off because I'm going to melt. There we go. Nobody needs to see me disrobe. Right, so that's the first thing I was going to show you, and I'm knitting this. Caroline from the Area Bark podcast is running a year-long stash smash. She did it last year and I didn't join in because I didn't find out about it till too late. And really, you can join in at any time, but I hadn't been keeping a track of projects and what have you, so I didn't join. But I'm joining in this year. There is a hashtag which is ABD capital S stash capital S smash 2022. But I think in order to be entered for any prizes, you have to be a member of either her website or her group page on Ravelry. The website, if I remember rightly, is just Aria Bark Designs, and so is the Ravelry group if you're interested in joining. Your best bet is probably to go and watch Caroline and Andrew's latest podcast, which is number 50, where she explains about it, because I may not have all the ins and outs of it correct. So that's some progress on it. It's not as much as I would have liked. You've not seen it for a fortnight. I would have liked to have had the body finished by now, but I've been knitting on other things, and this is really boring, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I always find this, once I get past the yoke on a top-down sweater and I get to the just stocking stitch round and round for miles, I always lose a little bit of interest. So what I've been doing mostly is knitting on this in the evenings while we're watching television, so that I've got something to capture my interest while I just knit along and don't pay attention to what I'm doing. So yeah, disaster averted, I think. I don't know, see, if I hold it up to me it's okay, but it was definitely wonky when it was on. I don't know what I've done there. But as people keep saying to me, and if you go wrong, it's a design feature. So I've added a design feature to Stephen West's already spectacular design, because I'm sure he needs my help. Not really. I was going to show you that last, but then I literally just put it on the hanger so I could show you, and thought, uh-oh. I thought I was going to have to pull it all down, and I wouldn't have been very happy about that. It probably wouldn't have got remade, to be honest, because I enjoyed doing the honeycomb bit, but the rest is a bit... Anyway, I'm going to tick that off my list in my little book, in case I try and tell you about it again at the end, and then you'll all know for certain that I've lost my marbles. The other make-along that Aria Bark's running that I'm joining in with is the delightfully named Yappy and Scrappy blanket mail. She wanted to do a scrap blanket every week. I get overexcited, that's what it is. She wanted to do a blanket make-along, scrap blanket make-along, because we're all of us making scrap blankets at the moment. All of us in the Zoom group, Aria's Zoom group. And she was going to just call it the Scrappy Blanket Along, I think. And her husband said it should be called the Yappy and Scrappy, because he has been subjected to us all on Zoom giving it. And the name is stuck. So, Yappy and Scrappy Blanket Along it has become, or blanket, Yappy and Scrappy Blanket Mal. If you're interested in joining in with that, there's a hashtag. I'm going to put all this down below. The hashtag is Yappy and Scrappy Blanket Mal. There is also a thread on her Ravelry page and on her website, I think. Again, to confirm any of these details, have a look at her latest podcast, which was episode 50. I'm going to have to be a bit quicker than I hoped to be, because I can see the sun is starting to come round. It's that time of day, because I had to wait for the roadmen. Right, where to start? I'm going to start with this one. I've got a few scrap blankets. I showed you this one last week, and I said I wasn't going to show it to you until the first episode in March. But because I'm talking about the Scrappy Blanket Mal, I'm going to show it to you this week. So I know there was someone who contacted me last week and said that the 2D, 3D thing made them feel quite queasy. So if that does that to you, I'm just about to show the triangulum. So if you want to close your eyes for a couple of minutes, I will tell you when I've put it away. Triangulum by Ellie Jones, I'm doing instead of, you probably know this because I talked about it last week, I'm doing instead of a temperature blanket this year. So I'm doing a triangle every day. No relation to the temperatures, just colours I fancy. And I'm organising them in hexagons. I'm using scraps and I'm also using some minis that I've got. And if I haven't got the exact colour, because I need preferably 3, but certainly at least 2 colours for each hexagon, or 2 shades, 2 or 3 shades of the same colour, then I'm stealing some from some balls that I haven't started yet, but don't tell them, they won't notice. Each triangle, I'm doing mine in fingering weight. And there's the cough pack. Each triangle takes about 3 grams, so it's not very much. Obviously, I need at least 12 grams of each colour, because at the moment I'm, well, you can see, I'm doing 2 hexagons the same opposite each other. That might change as the blanket gets bigger. But up until now, I've needed at least 12 grams of each shade to do the 2 hexagons. 2 triangles in 2 hexagons. Oh, this is a tongue twister today. Right, I've put that away again. I'm not going to show it again this week. Safe to open your eyes again. So when I get down to less than that, these little bits, which are my leftovers from what I've done so far, are, oh gosh, I'm making a mess here, are going into this scrappy blanket. This one I started last year, and you did see it when I started it, but then I took it all down and started again. This one is, I'm just making it up, it's inspired by Tony from TL Yarn Crafts, did a temperature blanket, but this one is just a scrap blanket, and I was just using up my scraps in it, and it's Tunisian simple stitch. This was all last year's. And then I'm joining on what I've got now. Oh gosh, this is very difficult to manipulate. As I say, it's Tunisian simple stitch, and all I'm doing is joining it on each row as I go. So there are some larger amounts of yarn. This stripe or strip was obviously from last year before I started the triangulum, so this was my only fingering weight scrap blanket at the time. This was from before I started it, and so that all went in there because I didn't want to make another pair of socks with that. I couldn't cope with the way the colours were arranged in the yarn. So, and the last 2 little scraps that went into it were those 2, and they were from the Autumn Wings shawl by Alex at My Yarny Corner that I made and have now given to my daughter-in-law. So there was only a tiny bit of 2 balls of that left, so I've popped that in, and these will now go in as well. What I tend to do, as I say, I took it all down last year. I got to the top of the first strip and I started joining on the second strip, and I noticed that my tension had changed. At the beginning it was really loose, and so I'd got quite a wide beginning of the strip, and towards the end it got narrower and shallower. So I took it all down, big old magic knot ball, and just redid it with more even tension, and I'm much happier with it now. The top is the same width as the bottom now, which is what I was aiming for. So this is going to be quite a long-term project. It's, oh, I don't know, about 5 feet long, and it will probably end up at least 5 feet wide. I just wanted a big blanket that you could have a snooze under. I like having a snooze under a blanket, you may have noticed. And holding my stitch is a little sheep. Hang on, let me try and figure out how to do this. Little sheep stitch marker from Crafty Cat Knitty Bits that I broke, and I had to fix him with 2 little buttons because I loved him so much. So he goes on there. So that's 2 fingering weight scrappy blankets I've got under construction. I've also got, and it's just lost its hook, hang on. Oh, look at that. This is my DK scrap blanket. And it's corner to corner, as you can probably see. It's got so far, the green is from My Yarny Corner. It was some DK that I got and made some socks with, and that's what was left over. And the rest, all of this, is from my Stillness sweater by, I think, Elizabeth Sullivan, that I made last year. I'm going to continue with this one with variegated DK yarns, but I want to start another one when I've got, for example, the Honeycomb sweater has got the variegated yarn that's in the honeycombs, so that'll go into this one. But with any scraps of grey I've got left over, I want to start another blanket, again inspired by Alex from My Yarny Corner. With her advents this year, she made a corner to corner blanket, but it was done in squares. So you make a square, and then you join on the next square, and then you join on the next square, and so on till you've got it the length you want, and then you work up. Well, I think that's what I'd like to do with my plain DK scraps. And then once I've got enough for the square, once I've finished the square that I'm doing with it, if there's not enough to do another square, I'll put it into this one. Honestly, it's all very complicated. I should write it all down because I'll forget. I just want this year to, I don't like throwing scraps away. Beginning of last year, I think, it was either beginning of last year or at the end of the year before, I sent all my scraps to a friend who had just taken up weaving, and she's got a little table loom, and she wanted some, she asked me where she could buy cheap wool to play with on her little table loom, and I said, well, I've got a load of scraps, would you like them? And I sent her a load of bits and pieces that were just knocking around, that weren't enough to do anything much with. Now I've got the scrappy blankets, I'll put them into those, but I don't like them to go to waste, and I don't like to just throw them away, especially the acrylic yarns, because then they're just going into landfill, and I'd rather they went into a blanket and were used for years. Hold your horses, there's another one. This one is Aran and, well, light chunky, I suppose. It's already quite large. Again, it's corner to corner, you can probably tell. I don't know how big I'm going with this. I've got quite a large bag of scraps though. oh, hang on, I've dropped the ball that's attached to this. Sorry. There's this much of the ball that's attached left to go, and I've got this bag of odds and ends. The grey you can see there, that was from a jumper I made last year. Can't remember what the pattern was. It was a commercial one though, rather than an indie one. Sirdar. It was Sirdar jewel spun, because I'm going to knit it again in the correct wool. This just came from Poundland, and it's made a lovely warm jumper. And then you can probably see in there, that's the scraps from this blanket. They're going to go in there as well. I did try doing the squared corner to corner. I messed up the number of repeats I needed to make a square, and I lost interest. And I thought, well, this blanket's already quite large. Let's not divide into two. Let's just keep this one going, because this is going to be a nice warm one. Holding my place on this one, because I do tend to lose crochet hooks like leaves in autumn. On there, if you can see, is a little pink glittery paw print that I got for my birthday from my friend Nikki. Thank you, Nikki. They're all the scrappy blankets I've got going at the moment. 4, soon to be 5, I suspect. So not too shabby an effort, I don't think, on the scrappy side of things. Right, I have made such a mess here, guys. You have got no idea. It's going to take me forever to clear this lot up. Every week I do this. I gather up everything I want, and then rather than put it neatly as I show you, I just like toss it. Okay. Another jumper to show you now. Let me tick that so I know I've done those. Oh, this is going to be tricky because it's all attached to one of those. I bought one of these to try. I'd been put off buying one before because somebody said, oh, they're useless, they fall over. And admittedly, I've only had these little 50-gram balls on it so far. I think it's brilliant. Let me put that down there, out of the way. Right, this is my love note. My love note by Tin Can Knits, which I'm knitting as part of Amanda from Little Lycac Yarns knit along. Let's see if this will go on there. The hashtag for that, if you wanted to join along, is hashtag Lycac Love Note Cal. But you have only got till the end of March. I thought it was the beginning of March, so I've been knitting on this like a furious knitting thing. Because I thought I only had till the end of February to finish it. I've got till the end of March. At the speed I'm going, I'll probably make another one before then. You can't see it terribly well. That's why I put the other one on a long cord. And I've just remembered I was going to put this one on a long cord. And I forgot because I got derailed by the other one being wonky. Never mind, you can kind of see. I'll put my hand in, you might be able to see the pattern a bit more. I did only do the one repeat of the lace. It is a bit hard to see because it's not been blocked and it's all a bit cobbled up. I tried it on yesterday during Zoom and I think I could have gone down a size really. I'm going to knit this one a bit longer than the pattern suggests because this is DK. It's actually Stylecraft Batik DK in indigo. and it's a lovely mild effect. The pattern's written for you to use a fingering weight and a mohair or something similar, which would give you this kind of mild effect. So purely by accident, I've hit upon using a DK weight that gives me that effect. Sorry again, without having to use 2 yarns together. The next one I make, maybe 2 yarns together, or I might be going to do a white one. I've not decided yet. When I put it on yesterday, it was about 7 inches from the underarm seam, and I think I can get away with that length. I don't know how comfortable I'll be wearing it, but it looked okay on. But this one I want to wear with trousers and jeans and what have you, so I'm not going to go cropped. Oh no. Don't mind cropped over a dress, but not over trousers and jeans. I wouldn't feel comfortable, and then I just wouldn't wear it. The yarn itself is weird. It looks like it's plied. Let me see if I can find a bit. It looks like it's plied, but it actually feels like a fleece to knit with. It doesn't well, you can separate the plies, but it doesn't split or anything. Yeah, you can separate the plies because I've just managed to do it there. I really like it. It's ever so soft. It really soft. So I'm very pleased with that. I've done a provisional cast on, and I've got to go back and do a neckband, which I might do before I do the sleeves, just to make sure that I've got enough yarn to do it. I don't want to do the sleeves and then discover I've used up all my yarn and come unstuck. But I want to knit this again. Well, I want to knit it again in white. I am going to try Stylecraft linen drape that I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, because I'm going to do it cropped. So if it does get longer, it won't really matter. And I also want to do it in a sock yarn I've got, or a fingering weight yarn, and a mohair. Might be going to do 2 of those. This is going to be another one like the Rocket Tee, I think, that I just knit loads of, because I just really like it. It's an easy pattern. The only trouble with it is, same as the painting honeycombs, once you've done the yoke, you're round and round and round with stocking stitch. But this one's on a 6mm needle, so it grows a lot more quickly than the painting honeycombs, which is on a 4mm needle. And in actual fact, when I swap from knitting this to that, it feels like I'm knitting with really tiny needles. And yet pretty much everything I used to knit was DK, so it was always on 4mm. Strange. Don't think there's anything more to tell you about that. I said it was by Tin Can Knits, didn't I? I think so. All the patterns I'm gonna link below, and I'm gonna give you all the hashtags down below, so I can't put them on the screen, so you can see them. The last one I've got to talk to you about is socks. And I know socks aren't for everybody, but I'm joining in this year with Dear Designs Year of the Sock. It's a year-long knit-along. Every month there's a prompt, but you don't have to follow the prompt, so you can enter any socks, any colour. Last month it was grey skies, and I showed you the grey socks that I'd knit and started wearing already. This month it's tickled pink. February is tickled pink. Can't remember what March is off the top of my head. Might be something about spring. Can't remember. If you have a look on Instagram, Dear Designs, or you can look under the hashtag, that's the point, you could look under the hashtag, which is hashtag Year of the Sock 2022, and you scroll down, you'll see the page with all the prompts, but she does also put it up each month what that month's prompt is. Excuse me, I like to know in advance because then I can plan what I'm going to knit. Anyway, I'd lost my sock mojo a little bit, and I thought, oh, I'm going to use the self-striping yarn. I've got a nice pink self-striping yarn. Just going to do a vanilla sock, and that should bring it back, because there's very little effort involved in a vanilla sock, and if the yarn is self-striping, it makes itself pretty. You don't have to do anything, it does it all by itself. So I started knitting a sock. Now, any of you who've been here for a while will know that I must have balance, and I looked at this sock, and as I was knitting it, I thought, the stripes aren't even. Oh, I don't like it. And I knit pretty much the whole sock. And I tried it on, and it was a bit baggy, because I'd forgotten, because I haven't done a vanilla sock for so long, I'd forgotten that when I do a vanilla sock for myself, I only use 60 stitches on a 2.25 needle, and I'd cast on 64, which is what I do generally for a patterned sock, unless it tells me otherwise. So I pulled it down, and I went through my extensive pattern library of socks, and I found this one. Let me move that out of the way. Let me try and get that so you can see it well. There's no point putting it on a sock blocker, A, because it hasn't got its heel on yet, and B, because it would take it the wrong way. Let me bring it closer. This pattern has been really enjoyable to knit. It's taken away my distress about the fact that the stripes aren't even, because I don't know why it works, but because it does that with them, it doesn't bother me anymore that they're not even. Maybe it breaks it up, I don't know. I don't know how my brain works, so I'm afraid I can't explain it to any of you. It's a mystery even to me. The pattern is called My Cup of Tea Socks by Robin Lynn. Again, I'm going to link it below. It is a free pattern. It looks very complicated. It's a 12-row repeat. I'll talk a little bit about it because it's a free pattern. But 6 of those rows, all the even rows, I just knit. I did have to follow it as I went along. By the time I got about halfway through the foot, I was beginning to be able to read the knitting and just go. If you want to knit it, have a stitch counter, have it in front of you, just move it down. It won't be a problem. It's not that complicated. It's just knit 2 togethers, slip knits, and make one by picking up the thread between the two, or the yarn between 2 stitches, picking it up and knitting into the back of the loop. I did change that slightly so that I got left leaning and right leaning increases where I wanted them, but you don't have to do that. That's not what the pattern says. The pattern says just to pick it up and knit into the back of it. So as pattern socks go, I think it's fairly simple, and I think it's very effective. Let's see if I can get my arm in there. There you go. It's really pretty. Oh, I'm looking at it now and thinking that would make a pair of fingerless gloves. It would make a pair of fingerless gloves, wouldn't it? Oh, if I just put a thumb gusset and I could have like a mitt. I may have just made an invention. You saw it live. Oh, I wonder whether to do that. No, sorry, I'm going off now. Yeah, brains racing. But that fits quite well. Look, I know there's no thumb, but that fits my fingers really well. Ah. Food for thought. Although I might not do anything at all with that thought I've just had, because I had an idea back during the sock along that I ran in September and October last year. I had an idea for making some socks with skulls around. I like skulls. I'm wearing a skull. Well, you can't really see. Peter and Lauren bought me this at the weekend, and I got skull earrings. I do like skulls. And this was an excellent idea, but I couldn't actually make it work. And I did say to Ewan at the time, if I have another idea, just lock me in a cupboard until it passes. So maybe I don't know though, that's not that bad an idea, is it? All I'd have to do is work out where I've got to put the thumb gusset. And then I could either not do the toe, and then your fingers are free, so it's fingerless, or I could do the toe, and it's like a mitten, a long mitten. I should shut up, really, shouldn't I? Because I could do this. Well, I couldn't because it's somebody else's design, really. But I could do this, and then I could say, here is my own exclusive design. And there might be designers watching that who go, I didn't think of that, and they'll beat me to it. Because it'll take me forever to work out how to put a thumb gusset in. I know how to do a thumb gusset, it's just figuring out where. I should shut up. Just be quiet. Right. I keep rearranging this and then it's all twisted when you see it. So, very effective but really quite easy pattern by Robin Lynn, My Cup of Tea socks. Which is ironic because I don't drink tea. I used to live on tea. But for some reason, when I was expecting Ewan, I couldn't stomach it, and I've never been able to drink it since. He's 20 now. 20 years without a cup of tea, can you imagine? I can drink fruit teas, and I do drink fruit teas, just not tea. Oh, you want to know what this yarn is, don't you? Sorry. I knew I'd forgotten something. It is Head and Heels All Stars by Stylecraft in shade 3920 Splash. And I should have known, really, looking at it, that they weren't going to be even stripes. But I didn't. It's in my motorbike bag. One of the first bags I made. And it is kind of my favourite sock bag. I didn't tell you either what the yarn for this was, did I? And I thought I was being all organised today. The grey is Stylecraft DK, Stylecraft Special DK in graphite. And the variegated is King Cole Splash in chestnut. I'm amazed I could remember that, but it only actually came to me as I was saying it. Right then. That's everything. I have got other things on the needles. Oh, Oh no, I don't think I've got time. Not time to tell you, time to enter it. Alex at My Yarny Corner is running a shawl make along, but I'm not sure when it ends. I have got a shawl that I'm knitting still, my Christmas Day cast on. I might as well show it to you now I've mentioned it, mightn't I? Hang on, let me get it. You have seen it before. It's the Botanic Shawl by Stephen West. I'm on a bit of a Stephen West kick. Yeah. The black main colour yarn is the black, which is West Yorkshire Spinners Licorice. And the self-striping is Zorbable, Shuffle Zorbable in the smoking area. But I doubt I'm going to have this finished to enter it. I can't remember when it finishes. I've already entered my Advent Envy shawl that I finished. Can't remember. If it's finished in time, I'll enter that as well. So that is another make along, because I think you can knit or crochet. She started it when she released the Autumn Wings pattern, but you don't have to make the Autumn Wings shawl. You can enter any shawl. So I did enter my Advent shawl. I cannot remember when it finishes. Perhaps that's the one that finishes at the end of February. I think it had, because I'd finished a shawl and entered it, I've just discarded that information because I don't need it anymore. Yeah, if you're knitting a shawl, it might be worth having a look. If you're knitting Alex's Autumn Wings shawl, it's definitely worth having a look, because that's what the knit along really was for. Crochet along, because that's crocheted. We've got to the time when I start just jabbering nonsense now. So I'm going to stop jabbering nonsense and I'm going to go away and leave you alone. I'm going to put everything down below, as I said. If there's anything that I haven't told you and that I haven't put down below that you want to know, just ask me in the comments. Everywhere that you can find me will be down below. But basically, it's email mousesmakes@gmail.com. On Instagram, I'm amandajane.davies.58. I'm not yet 58. I will be this year. I don't know why. My husband set up the account. I don't know why he did 58. Probably because that's how old he thought I was. Where else? Facebook. There is a Facebook group which doesn't have any activity really, which is just Mouses Makes Knitting Podcast. And there is a Ravelry group just called Mouses Makes. Or if you want to have a look at my personal projects, I'm Mousewitch on Ravelry, all one word. There we go. So, thank you for joining me once again. Thank you. I know we've got some new subscribers, which again I forgot to mention at the beginning. Welcome back, old subscribe, not old, original, I don't know how to say it politely. Current subscribers, and welcome new subscribers. This is all very back to front. I'm so sorry. I start off and I get excited and then... Anyway, as I said, just talking a load of nonsense now. So I'm going to go. I'm going to say goodbye, happy knitting, and I will see you next week.